Okay, so metal.
Metal.
The show's about metal.
What is metal? We're going to spread the hidden value in music.
We're going to proselytize. We're going to get the word out there.
We are.
That's important.
Whoa, welcome everybody to the Great Metal Podcast. This is episode 79. I did get an email this last week, and someone was like, dude, you guys do not have 79 episodes up on YouTube. That is true. There was about 15 or 18 or so we did before we started our YouTube channel that have never been uploaded. So you got to find those podcasts, although we do have them on video.
How
so
dare he question us, though? That's the main thing. Never questioned the gods of metal at the Great Metal Podcast.
He was very
premium
concerned.
Content. Premium
It could be
content
premium
there.
content.
It's just totally locked away on a hard drive. Bust those bad boys out. If you want to watch us around the round table in the early days.
Yeah, there was some good content in there. Well, we'll get those available to people for sure. But anyway, you're here with Shredmaster Scott, Just Pete, and the Metal Evangelist Luke. Shred just made it. He hopped on literally like 1 minute ago. That is how busy.
Doing a gig with Cardi B. I was like, listen, B, I gotta roll. I gotta make my pod. So, that was a close call.
Was she like, hey, I got to show you some P in the back room here, some WAP. And then you were like, nah, I'm not interested.
She wanted me to drink 69 ounces of WAP juice. And I thought about it for 6.9 seconds and then declined. Sorry, Cardi. Sorry, Cardi.
Good. Good. It was a wise decision, Shred. Wise decision there.
I like to think so.
Yeah, well, so today, episode 79. So I've been doing a bunch of research for an episode that we're going to do here in the near future on the money side of metal. Because we talk about this a lot. And I'm like, I got to get some straight answers here. Like, how much do these bands actually make? You know, can people make a career out of metal? I really want to know this because, you know, now that I got my guitar.
Dude, it's time to make some cash. Like, you got to stroke your hardwood back there. And I mean, because that axe, it can make you money. It really can. But you have to like be realistic and, you know, think about that side of the business, right? I mean, because it's real. But people say they don't care about money, right, in metal, but then they listen to all the bands that make the most money. I'm like, gotcha. Clear contradiction.
What's going on.
Well, we'll have an episode coming up where we discuss that in detail, and I've got numbers so we can actually like take a look at like, okay, does this make sense? Is this something that, you know, it's just a cop out for people or whatever?
You have to look at the numbers, man. You have to measure things and sell out, for God's sakes. Do it.
Maybe to a degree. Don't completely sell out, but
make good stuff still.
You got to make the good stuff. Yeah. But so anyway, in doing that research, one of the things I kept coming across over and over again was how many dudes in metal have day jobs. And I'm like, oh, this is crazy. So the day jobs of the metal gods. Yeah, I like it. Almost rhymes, but not quite. Day jobs of the metal gods. It's like that B and that B.
I see. Yeah.
Keep trying. Keep trying.
Gob.
Yeah, it was close.
In Arrested Development, Gob.
Gob.
They always call him Gob, so you could go with that. Day jobs of the metal gob.
Did Sammy actually drive a truck?
A dump truck.
Okay. Wow.
That's what he said. He used to drive a dump truck.
Evidence.
How about that?
Yeah, that's literally a picture of him hanging out the window of his dump truck.
I don't even know if that truck would go 55. You don't have to worry about breaking the speed limit there, but
definitely a problem. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's in good shape. Nice new truck.
Oh yeah. And he specified it was a dump truck. It wasn't just a regular truck. It was a dump truck, so he could get that thing dumping.
Wide load.
Yeah.
You know, there's a good. Go ahead.
Oh, no. If you had a comment,
I was just going to say,
Woot.
it's
I know
some
Woot.
of these good
Woot's been in my live streams. I'm looking at the live chat here. Symmetry's here. Woot.
Oh,
nice.
Welcome.
I've been doing live streams on like the money aspect of things, by the way, Luke. And just,
have you?
Nice.
measuring, man, I did a crazy one the other day where I realized that Linkin Park is bigger than Metallica on Spotify. This blew my effing mind.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 26 million monthly listeners for Linkin Park. And they've even sold 100 million albums, which is crazy because they're post the record era, right?
Right.
Because Linkin Park came out in because I remember when you got Hybrid Theory or whatever their first record was, and that came out probably circa 2001 or 2000, something like that.
Yeah, we were in college, so yeah, it was right in there.
Yeah, but the record industry and CD sales, I guess, were probably about peaking then, but shortly thereafter they started declining, and by 2012, it's like nobody is buying records anymore. So the fact that they racked up 100 mil, it took Metallica like 40 years to rack that up, but they did it in 10. And not quite as much, but it's a disgusting amount. How did Linkin Park get so effing big? We should do a whole show on that. I mean, I'm like, blindsided by that.
They really they kind of took the whole new metal scene by storm, and I mean, Linkin Park, because I think we even had them on our "Are They Metal or Not" episode, and I think
that's right.
Voted them down.
Yep. There's that whole issue too. They're not traditionally accepted by hardcore metalheads. That's true.
Right. So they lean more into the pop side of rock.
Well, they incorporated like sampling and synthesizers and rap, and so they're really like leveraging popular styles of music at the time, and sort of it was a hybrid. It's a hybrid, right, of metal and the new stuff, and that it definitely is part of the answer as to how they got so big. But man, I don't know, like something going on with that band. But back to day jobs, real jobs before you can do metal full time, which is the ultimate.
Yeah, well, so I mean, everybody, well, maybe not everybody, but a lot of people are familiar with like a lot of the big names and like the jobs they had before they got big, right? So we got in our thumbnail there's like Tony Iommi. Cut his fingers off working at a some kind of metal factory.
Everybody knows that story for the most part, although Luke, you were saying like he switched to a different job or something on his last day. That's so brutal.
It was his last day. I read an interview with him, and he was like, "Yeah, I had to go in." He's like, basically he had already quit. Like he put his time in or whatever, and he was like, "But I had to go back in," and he was a welder. And he's like, I got there. It was my last day. They didn't have anything for me to weld. So they transferred me over to run this big hydraulic press.
Oh.
And it was in the press where he's like, I don't know. I just stuck my fingers in there and the press came down. And then it was great. He's like, the press didn't cut my fingers off. He's like, it just crushed them. And then I pulled my fingers apart by pulling my hand back, which is just terrible. Just a terrible visual.
I mean, it had a silver lining because, Tony ended up developing a style based on his limitations. And a lot of us actually can benefit from that. I think of just like guys like Marty Friedman of Megadeth. If you listen to his solo material, it's kind of hard to get into. It's, he's so virtuosic and so crazy. But then when he was in Megadeth, he had these limitations that made his artistic brilliance a little bit easier to get some value for the average listener, right?
It's a great point.
Tony, right? So Tony had to come up with these really basic riffs like Iron Man and stuff. And that ended up being, much more commercially viable. So he was almost forced into that because of, chopping off his digits.
Yeah.
Limitations are
liberating.
There's that state. It's like creativity is in the limitations or something. Somebody famous said that. It's like it might have been like an Einstein quote.
We overthink stuff, and sometimes it's just like, man, just try to communicate a basic but powerful message, and that's good enough. And I always suggest that to metalheads, because we always start with like 16:9, time, and then like, can I make this riff? Like, can I fit 666 notes, into this bar here? And it always turns out bad. Like, if you even listen to like Dream Theater songs that are really complicated, you could pick up an acoustic guitar and strum that out if you had to, because it's built on a simple foundation.
Yeah.
At least most of their songs. There would be some exceptions, but
it's a great point in my writing right now. It's like, okay, if you literally just sit down with a guitar and you're like, okay, I'm going to write the next epic. Where do you even begin? And so, I mean, what I do is I'm like, okay, well, let's focus on this key, right? Okay. I want to be in the key of C minor or whatever. And then it's like, okay, let's focus on, you start like putting these parameters in place. You can always change the parameters as you grow, but you got to start somewhere. And by narrowing it down, you do tend to get some focus.
This is
here
quote
it is
from Orson. It was Orson Welles. The enemy of art is absence of limitations.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
I think it's hard to start too when you have everything available.
Right.
Like
Right.
There's no direction, right? Like a prompt often.
Basically, what we're trying to say is cut your fingers off and then write some riffs.
There's better ways to go. But...
That's the moral of the story here.
That is definitely one direction you can go. You can go some other ones too.
Don't go in the actual band that One Direction went. Like the One Direction. Direction. don't actually do that. But yeah.
Yeah. But like, Ozzy Osbourne, he worked in a slaughterhouse, carving up beef.
Yeah.
He's like, I was the guy that was like cutting the cattle open and like removing all their guts and stuff. You can go that route. Maybe that's why he wasn't afraid to bite the bat head. He's like, I'm used to seeing animals get chopped up.
Yeah. He's trying to butcher the bat.
A lot of these jobs are hard, It's like they're hardcore, and I think it's like metal, welding, dump truck driving.
Well, literally, metal came from Birmingham, where they were all about, industrialization was there was all these steel factories there, and Iommi was working in one of them. But it's interesting how metal originated in a metal factory.
Well, I mean, they were probably all losing their hearing. They needed to come up with music loud enough to hear.
Yeah.
It ended up kind of sounding.
Yeah, they
sounds like the factory almost.
You can see. So we can see there were no safety programs in place. Just
they could have done better with safety programs. But I mean, these guys were all like working towards something, though, right? I mean, like they're doing their day jobs, but then they had some big dreams on the side.
Well, yeah, that's right. And those are all guys that ended up, hitting it big, doing really big things where they could end up living off of the music, right? I don't think Ozzy Osbourne has to work. But he wanted to do the TV show there, at some point. But the idea is today in the metal scene, and we've talked about this, the periphery of this a lot. Bands today generally speaking, cannot make enough money off of their music alone. Now, when we get to the episode about the money in metal, I think that there are actually a lot of ways that they could, and for whatever reason, a lot of bands don't.
It's because we're now shifting into like branding. You can't just play anymore. Like you have to be a personality who does podcasts, and you have to be able to talk. Metalheads are really bad at that.
Sure.
We're all so awkward because we're handling our wood all day, right? And practicing, shredding. And so when it comes time to do interviews and talk to the camera, and oh man, we're totally out on that, right?
Well, yeah, that's definitely a big part of it. And we can't, but I mean, there are some here's what would be really helpful. Artists tend not to be very good at business, and we have to really look at if I
shut that shit down.
Shut that shit down right away.
If we're gonna be in a band, there are some very, very basic things that we can do to generate income that a lot of bands don't even think about because they're preoccupied. And particularly today, a lot of bands don't have managers and that kind of stuff, right, to handle all the business side of stuff. And so anyway, so what it means though, at this moment in time, is that a lot of these guys that we buy their albums, we'll go see them on tour, whatever, we might think they're living the high life, the rock and roll lifestyle. And when they're done with their tour, they're going back to their day job. And so we've got a list of guys that I thought this was fascinating what some of these people are doing to like supplement their.
So we're talking about like modern people in the industry today that actually have like a real day job.
Yep.
But then, they're out on tour. Yeah. Oh, man, this is wild. It's wild.
Yeah. Yeah. And some of them are very surprising. Some of them, kind of fit the mold a little bit. And then some of them have some really good insight into like what they're doing, why they're doing it, and this kind of thing.
I wonder if Dave Mustaine is on this list. He has a day job at Burger King.
Dave Mustaine, as far as I know, does not have a day job. He's all in on the music.
There's actually a website you can go to that tracks by the second how much money Dave Mustaine is making. It's really funny. It's like, since you've been on this page, Dave Mustaine has made, and it has the tabulated figure. So, he's doing all right.
Yeah. Well, and again, a lot of the biggest things. So this is interesting because what happens in a lot of these industries, sports is the same thing as music, is all the money gets funneled to the top. And so here, a real quick aside, a cousin of mine who will remain nameless, me and him a long time ago came up with an idea. This is a horrible idea. Please don't think bad of me. We were young and dumb, but we came up with this idea that we wanted to adopt a child, like a baby, and then at like 2 years old, start training this baby to play tennis and like raise this baby in order to become the next, like Roger Federer. Yeah. Now, we didn't do it. We didn't go through with it.
Solid plan.
Yeah. So, but here's the thing, in doing a bunch of research on the tennis industry, what I found is like, it's like the top 20, 25 tennis players in the world make a lot of money. Yeah. And it's like the top 50 live, comfortably. The top 100 maybe are able to support the career. And then you're outside the top 100, you don't make any money. You lose money playing tennis. So you have to have like a rich uncle, or you have to have a corporate sponsor, or because you're not going to make any money. And so sports works that way.
Unless you have like brand deals and stuff outside of actually going to a tournament to get paid, right? You have to actually play tournaments to get paid.
That's probably how the biggest names make majority of their money, are brand deals. Oh, not actually playing 100%. Tennis even. Yeah.
Yep.
100%. So, but, and I think how, and in every industry, the money moves a little differently, but in the past in music, the money funneled to the record companies and to the venues and all of that kind of stuff. Right. But it almost never made it to the artists. And now that era is kind of over. And so you don't really have record labels.
Still venues though, Ticketmaster, they take an even larger portion of the pie now.
Yeah. So it's
venues.
It's getting split up just to different places. Right. But if you're an independent person, at your home, I'm thinking of a guy like, Devin Townsend. He really could do some stuff. And I think he does, where, he makes all the money, right? He has his own label. He records everything, publishes everything himself. Now touring is different, but anyway, so the money kind of like tries, or it doesn't try to, it funnels up to the top. But when we see guys like Metallica, and, the Metallica brand is worth $1.4 billion or whatever it is, it's like, that is so rare. That's so freaking rare, right? There's maybe 30 bands
like Metallica bands on the planet. Metallica is as big as DJ Khaled, which
I don't even know who that is.
He's a DJ. You know, he's got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Metallica does not have a star, actually, that I've seen.
Really?
Maybe they do. I just haven't seen it, but I walk on the Hollywood Boulevard Walk of Fame every day. And I see DJ Khaled's star every day. But
I got to look.
Metallica's they are extremely rare. I've become fascinated in why Metallica is so successful, because they're a metal band, right? It's like this is so unusual. Heavy music is always kind of less accessible to the public, but somehow Metallica has like cracked the code and figured out how to be super rich and do it on their own terms, you know, playing heavy music, the branding, merchandise. It is nuts. We need to get Papa Hat on the pod.
We should get into some of these shocking day jobs.
Yeah, we should.
Bands, like, who knows?
Just to let everybody know, so Metallica has a star in San Francisco.
Oh,
on the San Francisco Walk of Fame.
Nobody cares about that.
But it does not look. Yeah, I didn't either. But it does not look like they have one in Hollywood. So
you're nothing unless you have a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, let's dive into this list, because some of these are really interesting. Okay. So first up, Angela Gossow, however she pronounces her name, I'm not sure. The former lead singer of Arch Enemy. It's Alyssa White Glues now. So she left the band in like 2012 or something like that. And, you know, a lot of people thought she was just like retiring from music. No, she was actually switching careers. And so she started a band management company.
Following the money.
Yeah, right. And so she actually manages Arch Enemy. So apparently there's no bad blood there. It's all good. But she also does, which a lot of musicians do. She does, what do they call it? Like workshops, you know, like John Petrucci does like guitar workshops. And so she does some vocal workshops, and I found a clip of one. I tell you, if I would love to go learn from her. So here is a clip of Angela from one of her vocal workshops talking about the vocal cords.
These are the vocal cords. Just like a quick one. You know, that's how they look. They basically look a bit like a pussy. I'm very sorry, but I've seen mine and on one of those, you know, I had one of those things down my throat, and the chick, and I'm like, that's wrong. When you speak, they just open and close with every sound, with every vowel, every word you say. When you sing, the chords vibrate very quickly, and they kind of zip up and down. It's like a zipper. Like when you sing a high note, it zips up, and a low note, it zips down, and they vibrate. And when you scream, actually, they lock up the vocal cords. They thicken up, and there is a bunch of stuff above the vocal cords. They're called the false cords. It's just, a thick muscle and just walls of your throat, and they kind of build. They thicken up, and they don't vibrate much anymore, and they keep that position, and then you just push air through.
So that's what she's really doing to bring in the coin, huh?
So that's part of it. Yeah. So she does these workshops, and then now she has this band management company.
But you got to do more than just play. Like just playing on stage, you know, it's just becoming like you said, Luke, just few people are able to really make a killing on that. It's not enough value. You know, you have to bring more. More is more. Think about Yngwie J. Malmsteen, right? This principle is, you know, rarely actually works if you think about it, but in this particular case, Yngwie does.
in this particular instance. Yeah. Well, if anybody's ever been to like one of these workshops with like, you know, a well-known metal musician, let us know what the experience was like. I've never been to one. I would love to go to one. Not necessarily to like actually learn, like trying to learn guitar from John Petrucci.
I don't want to learn anything.
I mean, wow, come on. He's too far above my pay grade. Right. So it's like, I can't, I mean, I'm sure I would learn a lot. Right. but it's like, you know, I would have to like apply his principles in a much different way, but maybe not. Maybe he's super accessible in how he teaches. I don't know. Never been to one.
Yeah, a lot of times guys who are high level pros, you know, they just don't know how to simplify things. It's totally true. Like, and 95% of, you know, the consumer base is going to be beginners. That's just how the market works.
Totally.
So, like, yeah, I mean, you could, if John Petrucci did like how to write a riff, you know, or something like that, you know, everybody can kind of learn from that, unless you're just picking up the guitar. But yeah, definitely learn how to simplify things. If you can teach, you know, teachers actually make a lot more money than performers on average, way more.
Certainly. And, you know, because it's scalable, you know, I mean, you can make a video and get 10,000 students instead of just having 10 in front of you. And so I think a lot of musicians do actually do that. They do a lot of teaching, or, you know, they hold these workshops or whatnot.
That's an interesting question. I don't know how many do. I mean, a lot of it comes down to whether or not you have a style people want to learn. Like Tosin Abasi from Animals as Leaders kind of like changed the fundamental mechanics of how we approach the instrument. So a lot of people, you know, want to learn from him. But, you know, there's definitely a big market too. I mean, bigger market overall for just basic fundamental principles, teaching those.
Yeah. Well, you know, like
finger your G good.
Yeah.
Nobody knows how to do that.
That is a good, you know, Floor. I mean, she teaches at like a university or something. And so anyway, so that's definitely one route. I think a lot of these people take. We'll see more of that in an upcoming episode.
I think there's a desire to share too, right? I think a lot of musicians want to encourage the craft. So that's the other reason teaching is a natural, even if you maybe have made enough fame that you wouldn't need to teach, right?
Well,
it's a great point.
What it is that people want to know how to do what you do.
Yeah.
And there are some degree of teachers that are actually trying to teach themselves, you know, as part of the educational process. That's what I like doing. But what I found is that not a lot of people are interested in learning how to write 12-tone rows or do, you know, various obscure 20th century compositional techniques, right? That's harder to teach, but it is really fun. If you can find like a core group of people that are interested in like going along with you on your own educational journey, you can like fund your own education. Brilliant.
That's a great way to do it. Yeah. Well, there's another route you can take, like the drummer to Anthrax, Charlie
Benante.
Benante, yeah.
He's filling for Pantera recently. He's been filling in for Vinnie Paul, R.I.P.
Yeah. Well, he also he started a coffee roasting company.
What?
And so now he hawks coffee backstage at all of his shows. So here's a little clip of Charlie talking about coffee.
We're Chris and Noah, and you guys are big coffee fans?
Yeah, I am, yeah.
How long have you been drinking coffee now?
It's only been maybe 2 years since I started drinking coffee. I just not got into it.
So you started when you were like 8?
I didn't start that
And what about you?
Just kind of a year.
Yeah. You like it ice? You like it hot?
Hot ice.
Yeah. You strong?
Like medium in the middle.
Do you like strong coffee because you like metal?
Yes.
Good, heavy, strong metal. You don't like the taste?
I love the taste of coffee.
What's your favorite? What's your favorite? Where do you get your coffee?
Darker. Huh?
Where do you get your coffee?
At the grocery store.
No, you should order it from me.
I will order it from you.
Dark matter. That's good.
Brilliant.
Yep. Benante blend.
Benante blend. Now that's really smart thinking right there. He's got like a full-on side hustle that he's working at the shows, even peddling it to the kids, you know? Is that even legal for kids that age to drink coffee? Doesn't matter, right?
I love that it's called dark matter coffee. That's great.
I like his question. He's like, do you like strong coffee because you like strong metal?
That's
it's
true.
like
That's a good question.
There's something about that, like metal. It's like the darkness and the bitterness and the strength.
He's trying
coffee.
to get a deeper principle there.
Yeah, yeah. So and I think there is obviously almost all bands in general have merch, right? But this is like a different level. It's like I'm gonna use my metal band brand to sell something totally unrelated. Coffee.
Well, and he's connected to the product. Like a lot of people sell merch and they don't even really know, that they have it going on. Someone else is managing that. But he's very connected to the process. You can tell he's an actual businessman.
Yeah, for sure. And
my opinion of Charlie just went up like 69 points just from that one clip.
Perfect. Yeah. So that's one way to do it. Get into these products that he probably loves coffee himself. So he's like, let's get into this. So maybe if you're into something else.
It is really amazing. Like you said, he's connected to it. I mean, look at this bag of coffee. Very connected to it. It's right there on the front drinking the coffee.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love it.
Yeah. No, it's great. So
if you guys drink coffee, score yourself some dark matter. Why not?
Yeah, why not?
So what, honestly, try it. When I put this together, I was like, I need to buy some of this. And then I totally forgot about it. And because I wanted to be drinking it today on the show. And
here's the next level. It is you could have Charlie pay you for peddling it in video descriptions.
There it is.
There you go. Charlie, if you're listening to this, we will be an affiliate for you. We'll do it. I haven't had your coffee though, so I can't say if it's good or not. But we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah, you got to get creative. Doyle Wolfgang von Frankenstein from the Misfits. Me and him have been chatting it up a bit in the DMs. He's sending me his strings, so I'll try them out. I'll probably make a little piece of content out of it. But that's like modern marketing, right? It's like you got to get creative. You got to comes from sometimes just relationships, cultivating and stuff like that. Get out of the box, and stop thinking about just playing on stage, to make you that's such an old idea.
He's manufacturing his own strings.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't actually work in the factory and make the strings himself.
No, right.
Yeah.
Right. I'm sure Charlie doesn't actually roast.
Doyle and Elisa from Arch Enemy are, long-term partners, by the way, too. I think you guys.
Yeah. Maybe you've mentioned it before. I didn't remember, but there we go. We're full circle again. Well, so now there's another avenue you can take, like the lead singer of Hatebreed took, Jamie Jasta. You guys probably know Jamie. So Jamie Jasta went the podcasting route. So he does a podcast. I think it's once or twice a week, and he's always got metal guys on there, and they chat it up. And I'm sure a lot of you guys
have you listened to it.
I listened to a couple episodes like a long time, like when we first started the podcast, so like almost 2 years ago. He was one of the ones that I was looking at, listening to as like research.
I think Devin Townsend does, or he at least did a podcast. I don't know if Devin still is active on that.
It's real hit or miss. Like he'll do some and then he'll go like months without doing anything. And because he used to do the same thing with streaming. He'd do like live streams and then, but the dude is so busy. He always has so much stuff going on, children's books and working on TV shows and writing 8 albums a year. It's crazy how much stuff he does.
That's nuts.
I should have just been like, okay, here's all the side jobs that Devin Townsend has. We did an entire episode there. But Jamie Jasta, so he's got the podcast. If people out there listening to our podcast, I'm sure are familiar with Jamie Jasta's podcast. He's one of the bigger ones in the metal scene. But I just wanted to throw.
I've never heard of him. I don't know. Hatebreed. Sometimes like you'd be surprised at how few people know, about everything that's going on in the metal, umbrella. Like they're in their own little corner over here and they like Metallica and Megadeth, and they don't know anything else, or maybe they're into like some obscure shit and they don't know about the big stuff. I mean,
but it's just if you're into metal music podcasts, there's only like, I don't know, 10 that have any like high level of traction, and Jast is one of them. So,
I mean, let's be honest. There's only one that has the highest level of traction.
Well,
the greatest.
It's true. We do have the superlative. Well, we actually don't have the superlative. It's not greatest. It's just the great. Shoot, we'll work on that. But so for anybody that's that's not familiar with Hatebreed, I do have a clip of their song Slaughterlust, which is a great song. So check out Slaughterlust.
Slaughterlust.
I have become instinctive. Come with me down the abyss, where shadows spark from emptiness. I must transform to shed this husk. New urge to fulfill my slaughterlust. I sacrifice to dominate. My savage nature now unleashed. Grip swift and sharp against clenched teeth. Animal intuition empowers me. Transforms in this husk. Must fulfill my slaughterlust. Transforms in this husk. Must fulfill my slaughterlust.
Nice.
Just
everyone
good.
gets a little slaughterlust from time to time. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
it's true.
I'm surprised Ozzy didn't write that song. With his
Bat Lust,
his slaughterhouse gig. That he started with.
Yeah.
If he listened to Slaughterlust while working at a slaughterhouse.
Okay, now we're talking.
That's the bee's knees. So, okay, moving on. Okay, so this is my favorite. This is so the band Dark Throne. Anybody that's into black metal knows Dark Throne. So Dark Throne, it's just two guys. And now these guys, they don't tour. They refuse to tour. And Norwegian black metal. This is as authentic as it gets. So, but I've got a clip.
Too busy burning churches, ain't got no time to tour.
It's a good point. So I got a clip. So this is an interview. So Fenriz is his name. He's the main writer and the drummer, and so here's a clip. This is from, I don't know, like 2006 or 2007 or something, and this German guy goes over there to interview him. They just get wasted and they just talk. But here's a clip of him talking about his job, his actual day job.
Michael Jackson is pretty dangerous, and he ain't even rock and roll.
He was offending lots of people, right?
Yeah, would you
wasn't he?
Would you lend your children to Michael Jackson? Hey, Michael.
Maybe not. No.
Take my children for the weekend. That's pretty scary.
How many people have offered you lots of money to play live? And you always turn it down.
I could be a rich bitch if I said yes to all these things.
Why don't you?
Because Startron is my life's work. And it will be less if I do something I don't want to. That's why I have a job every fucking day. I have a job. I started working full-time since I was 16 years old. I cut down. Usually people take, school. I cut school and just started working to get equipment for Dark.
How old are you now?
I am 34. And I started working to get money for equipment for Darkthrone and put, everything into it.
How about that? He could be a rich bitch, but instead staying true to the craft. He's not going to sell out.
No. Well, and that's the thing with black metal is they don't sell out. So now here's what he said. So he works in the postal industry in Norway. And I love this. He's like, people always get it wrong and think I'm a mailman, but I'm not. I work in the postal industry with mail sorting machines and whatnot. Now I sort mail that is like return to sender and like the exceptions that cement the rule. There's a lot of exceptions in the return to sender system. I shit you not. It's so great. I mean, and then he goes on to talk about, how he's literally works a 40-hour job in the postal service, or he doesn't work 40 hours anymore. He works Monday and Tuesday now per week. And then he says the rest of the week he spends doing merchandise fulfillment for Dark Throne, which is
crazy. Kind of in the
well.
postal service still.
Which yeah, he probably gets a deal on shipping for sure.
Discounts on shipping. Amazing. But that is an interesting philosophy. Like, look, I don't want to corrupt my music at all by any money pushing it one way or the other. So I do a completely unrelated thing to get my money. That's funny.
I mean, there is something to be said for that, man. It's like when I make a video on YouTube, especially now, it's gotten really a lot worse in the past couple of years. Like, it has to be about certain topics, and I have to leverage certain brands. And there's all these, limitations on it. You can't just put anything you want up there. If I were to like release like an original song or something on the channel that I have now, it'd probably get like less than 1,000 views, which is nothing, for my channel.
This was an interesting psychologist I listened to was talking about like the psychology of motivation, and he was talking about like and I think this happens a lot in music, like when you make the end goal like making money though, you begin to slowly lose enjoyment of the process. Psychologically, you trick your brain into just getting dopamine when you get the reward, so the sale or the views or whatever, and pretty soon the thing you like doing you don't get any dopamine from, like actually playing the music or writing the music, because you've tricked your brain into thinking the reward is what gives you that dopamine hit. And so it's interesting, like, he's saying, I just like doing this and I don't want to like make it about the money I'm getting from it. I don't know, like you said, there's positives and negatives. You want to be able to make a career. Ideally you can balance that, right?
The answer isn't make no money or make a lot of money. It's the middle ground. With every issue, it's always about balance. Aristotle's virtue vice continuum, right, Luke?
That's right.
We get stuck in this trap of binary thinking all the time. Figure out how to do both. You can. And in a lot of ways, your audience keeps you sort of on track in a sense, like Devin said, hey, I got to do this album for me. And then what do you guys want to hear? They keep you grounded. It's like the Marty Friedman thing. His solo records are kind of hard to listen to because they just don't have Dave Mustaine's commercial structure. And he can still, do his flashy licks and stuff in Megadeth songs. It's just that's not the whole song.
Right.
So when you leave people to their own devices, like I'd be writing like 20th century weird atonal metal, probably.
I want to hear it so bad, Shred. I almost want to commission you to write me a 20th century.
There would be some good, that would come from that, for sure. But then, it's like you always have to be checking in. We are a social animal, social creature. We live in societies, and so you have to be making sure that you're also giving value, to people around you too. It's just a balance, and some people struggle with that more than others. Especially if you're creative and you don't have, the soft or the hard skills, really, which is what making money is, business savvy.
Well, that's right. I mean, some of the most enduring art has always been, this timeless character is like what anybody can relate to, right? And which that's the social dynamic that you're talking about. Like if I, in a very specific situation, like, I don't know, there's something that's unique to me, which I don't know if there is anything, but let's just pretend there's something unique to me and I just want to cry about it through my music and nobody can relate to it. Then I mean, that's not a thing, right? But the more I can relate to other human beings, the more impact that art can have. And so that's that value proposition of being social, which is really important. I think that when we talk about like, Bunker Hunt said, they asked him like, how much is enough? And he's like, just a little bit more. But it's like, at the end of the day, I think the key is you need to be able to support what you're doing financially. At the very least, you need to be able to support. You don't like Fenriz. He doesn't care about buying a yacht and, having private jets and all this. He does not care about that. He cares about the music. And he's apparently making enough to make the music. He's happy.
Yeah. I mean, just by living, you consume resources. So justifying your existence with an equal and opposite reaction, right? You have to be able to at least fund the time, that you're spending. It has to generate some degree of value. Or else, it's kind of like you're just leeching off of society, basically.
Well, so to that point, let's check out this next band where all of them do a lot for society. I'm talking about Insomnium. Now, these guys are nuts. So, like the lead singer there, he's a biologist. You got an environmental engineer. There's a cultural center director, and you have a surgeon. The drummer is a surgeon.
Wow.
So they've actually, some of the members have actually left the band for long periods of time to focus on this other work. And then they come back, but I got to plug these guys, cause this is like my favorite melodic death metal band. And they have a new album coming out, and they just dropped a new single called White Christ. And let's just take a listen to it, because these guys are so good.
Wow.
Just motherfucking kill me now. This stuff is so good. These guys, their ability to write a riff, just oozing with emotional power. Oh man, I cannot wait for this album. Oh,
interesting.
Anyway,
Interesting song.
With that, which is fantastic, very excited about the new album. I've got to jump, so you guys continue this job exploration.
All right. You ended on a high note, Pete.
I'm going to end on this high note and let you guys go through the other goodies.
Yeah. All right. We'll catch you on the flip side.
Later on.
Yeah. So Insomnium. So these guys are like doing a lot for society. I mean, working in the medical field and all this stuff. Wild deal. But apparently, they go to school, they get all these degrees. They all have like PhDs. They get all these degrees, but their true love is
metalheads are smart, as it turns out, huh? Who knew? Maybe that's part of our problem, why we have such an issue connecting with other people. Oh, but then here we go again with this game of elitism. Man, I wish we could change that in the metal community. Like Polyphia is hated. Why? The band Polyphia. Well, they're not considered, part of the metal umbrella because they're evolving the sound, and I don't like that. Like, that's anti-progress to me. I want to keep my mind open, to new ideas and new sounds. And I don't see that a lot in metalheads, you have to like get out of your room, I guess, a little bit. Metalheads have bedroomitis. It's a horrible affliction.
Okay.
So, can you get out of your room for a minute, stop, handling your hardwood for 69 seconds and go talk to some people who are maybe from like a different background, musically or whatever. And then just, I don't know, like that could be a huge unlock for you. You might come up with an idea for a song or something that changes the game just by getting a little bit, some different inputs from different areas.
It's a wild thing because it's true. There is this perceivable condescension that we have as metalheads. I feel it. I've exhibited it before. I'm like, Taylor Swift is the shittiest songwriter of all time, lyricist. She doesn't write music. It's like, but at the same time, I'm like, all of the metalheads I know, they're like some of the most open-minded people I've ever met. Right. But they have this idea. We have this idea that, we're into a lot of stuff. We are critical thinkers. We're deep thinkers. We're emotional. We're not just like stoic people. We're very emotional people. But what we don't like, we really like to shit on.
Yeah. And to be fair, this is more the consumer aspect of the metal industry and not as much the creator aspect. Creators definitely tend to be more open-minded, and they have to be because they have to stay relevant and current. I mean, I would just say, yeah, as a metalhead, try to evolve, and get different inputs, different experiences. Don't just listen to Cannibal Corpse.
Shred, if you're trying to convince me to buy the new Taylor Swift album,
bro,
I might do it for you, but I'm not going to enjoy it. I should say it. See, here I go again.
Buy some Taylor. You could buy 6.9 copies of Taylor Swift's record, or what you could do. Woot says music is largely rooted in tribalism. That's just people in general, Woot. That's
true.
Everybody. But when I went to college in the year 666 BC, Luke was there. It's a long time ago, and basically, my mind was blown because I got this assignment in my music listening class, and the professor was like, Shred, you are condemned to, 420 hours in the library this semester listening to, and gave particular assignments, listen to Stravinsky and Bartók and, Schoenberg and all these composers, right, from the past. And I was just sitting in that library, just having my mind blown over and over and over again. Like Debussy. Are you kidding me? Have you ever listened to Debussy? Claude Debussy?
Only that one clip we played on this show. It was the moon decapitating one.
Oh, no, that was Arnold Schoenberg, Pierre Lunaire.
Oh, is that Schoenberg? Oh, okay.
Debussy was a French impressionist. But man, that'll expand your mind. It's like being on psychedelics, but it's like the tonal, sonic version of that. It just really blows your mind. And
narco frequencies,
maybe worth a try. I don't know what that is. Narco frequencies?
I don't know what that is either. Like narcotics, only frequencies.
Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, but just don't be so narrow-minded. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Shred's on his pedestal today. I'm preaching Shred fire and brimstone.
I love it, Shred. I love it. Yeah. So those are good points. And I think, a lot of these guys that we're looking at, I mean, they're working in the postal service. I mean, they are grounded, right? And who's not probably grounded is, Justin Bieber. Right. Cause I mean, he's living in a different world. It's not reality. Everybody worships him. And, I mean, he literally thinks he's better than everybody else because everybody says he's better than everybody else. You start to believe the lies you're told, for sure.
Yeah. And maybe Jay Bieber in particular. I
don't know him.
Because
so maybe not.
He does have instrumental talent. He can play drums and guitar and other instruments. But there are definitely, of course, some people in the entertainment industry that are just manufactured, by some kind of brilliant thinkers behind the scenes, right?
Totally.
And they're told what to do at every, their moves are orchestrated. Yeah. So, I mean, but you need a little bit of that direction sometimes too. It's different with different artists. I certainly don't respect, artists like Cardi B as much as, even DJ Khaled, because he's at least got to work some machines and twiddle some knobs, or something.
That's right. Yeah.
But
hey, look, anybody that's actually writing music, it's hard. Now, I am so freaking stuck on lyrics right now. And, like I've written books and I'm like sitting here trying and I've won awards for my poetry and I can't write lyrics right now. It's insane. I'm just like, oh, like everything sounds stupid or cheesy or whatever. It's really hard to write something that's good.
It's hard to write something that's good. And then it's like to have a career in it, you have to do so many different things at once. I mean, like my day to day is so ridiculous. Like the amount of, skill sets that I've had to develop with online marketing, and video editing and audio production and copywriting. And it's just like, it's hard to specialize. And that's why, these artists have these teams because it helps you scale essentially. So it's specialization of labor, that principle that Adam Smith, the economist, came up with. It's like you do what you do, and then someone else does what they do, and then you put it all together, and you work as a team. That being said, it's good to taste all the different aspects of the process, just so you have a general feel for what's going on. Because as an artist, if you don't understand that, the people that come to your show are supporting you financially, right, then you're going to have like this disconnected dynamic there. Songwriters earn even less than performers. That's definitely not true.
Oh, Woot, you gotta defend yourself. Woot. Defend your statement. Defend the statement.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times it's the songwriters, the people who have the publishing rights. It's the publishing rights people that make the most, and those are oftentimes the songwriters. Sometimes they're the same person, the performer and the songwriter.
In metal, all songwriters. In metal, everybody writes their own music. Like you don't have songwriters for other metal bands. I mean, occasionally metal bands will work together to write a song for each other or whatever. But like in country music, there's probably like, I don't know, 25 guys that write every single country song. And then they shop them around to the different country artists. And that's just the way it works in country music. It's the way it works in pop. But metal's very different. Metallica writes all of their
and that's
own
why
music.
Like I'm so fascinated with Metallica. And even if you don't like Metallica as your favorite band or anything, Metallica is not my favorite band, but the model that they've used to become successful is so fascinating. It's something that all of us can learn from. There's something there. I mean, because people always associate their personal opinion with objective fact, right? They're like, well,
sure.
When I do these live streams, we're measuring the sales numbers and Spotify streams and stuff. People are always like, well, but hold on, I think that Pantera is better than Metallica. Well, the majority of personal opinions in the world disagree with that, from the numbers and the record sales, right? So all I'm saying is there's something there in, like, if you do want to get in the industry, get used to measuring things and figuring out what, putting your personal opinion aside. Of course, there's just big stuff like Insomnium sounds amazing to us, but they scream. That's a barrier of friction for most people. They don't like the screaming. So if you go by the sales, death metal is always going to sell less than, let's say, thrash metal, because thrash doesn't scream as much,
Totally. Right? And that's where, you and I disagree, pretty substantially, where in terms of like, quality versus taste, right? Taste is always going to sell more. But to me, that does not inherently mean it's better or higher quality or anything at all. And so,
but then the question is, how do you measure how do you measure quality? You have to have some kind of metrics system, right? Not the actual metric system that uncouth people use in Canada, but like how do you actually measure that? And because I'm totally down with the potential of that idea. It's just we don't have a way to measure, this perceived idea of quality. Right. It's like, what is that?
Well, yeah. I mean, certainly on like songwriting, on lyrics like that, you can come up with metrics, right? You can come up with like, in terms of lyrics, Do they make sense? Do they rhyme? Do they tell an interesting story?
Kurt Cobain certainly didn't make sense in his lyrics. He sold a lot. I'll tell you
that's exactly what I'm saying, though. What I'm saying is his lyrics were not quality lyrics, but they sold a lot.
But they connected with people. Like, when I remember listening to Kurt Cobain's lyrics, like that day we went to SeaWorld and you had Nirvana Unplugged, back in 420 BC. And I guess it would have been around like 93. But yeah, like Kurt was like, what does he say? I'm on a plane, I can't complain. He says things like that. And somehow, I don't know, there's some things that he would say, and I'm like, I feel that, like, and they wouldn't make sense, but it did make sense somehow. Not that particular line. I wish I could think of a better example.
Well, he had a ton of really good one-liners, like in Heart-Shaped Box. He's like, I miss the comfort in being sad. That's a really interesting line. I miss the comfort in being sad. So, I mean, he had a lot of great, like, individual lines, but as a lyricist as a whole, I would say almost any of the Norwegian metal bands, if you look at like Tuamos's lyrics, it's literal deep, dark poetry. And it's like brilliant. There's thematic continuity. There's all of these.
It's a different style, though, too. I mean, because Kurt is free association more, and Tuamos, is more philosophical, literal stuff. It's definitely not all literal, but time would be another metric you could use. Do things stick around for a long time? You just have to have some way to measure it, other than just saying like, I think this is crap and this is good. Like, it has to be scientific on some level. That's my claim that I stick to, because it just devolves into chaos when I get in my comment section, and then people are just like, it's Metallica. No, it's Megadeth. It's like, this is senseless debauchery.
How about this one? Symmetry says, some days I want Metallica, others Pantera, or even classic Judas Priest. It's a mood thing.
Well, that's totally
taste.
True.
That's taste. Yeah, 100%.
But
totally
that comes
legit.
down to also like your physiological state during that day. Maybe you haven't been on your nutrition, or you've been sick. And so, one lyricist resonates with that current physical state that you're embodying, right? And then other days you're feeling good, so you resonate more with a positive, uplifting lyrics.
Yeah, totally.
We're dynamic creatures that change, over time. But I don't know, maybe we should start a philosophical podcast that nobody would watch ever. But
I don't know. Occasionally, like, Rogan talks about this kind of stuff, and he's pretty popular.
Rogan's actually a metalhead, like, of course he had. He had Dave Mustaine on the podcast, which was hilarious.
Yep.
He's like, are you pissed at Metallica for stealing your music? He's like, oh, no, I don't care about that. He's like, I did say, don't use my songs on the next record. And of course they did, blah, blah, blah. Of course, then he goes into this huge tirade. I'm like, Dave, stop it, please. We all know that this is a grudge, you've been carrying for the past 666 years. He'll never let it die. And I hope he doesn't, because like that dynamic really drives a lot of economic activity for both bands.
Yes.
There's a thirst and a hunger for that sort of versus, competitive nature between the bands. It's just a rich, juicy story full of drama.
We love drama. Human beings, we love drama. We love conflict. We don't necessarily want to be a part of it, but we love to watch it. It's interesting. You can watch a tree grow, or you can watch two people beat each other up. Way more interesting to watch two people beat each other up.
That's why I'm watching the Rocky series right now. It's just released on Netflix. Like, there's a reason why that is such a popular series. We like to see the versus dynamic. We got one guy, Symmetry would say he would watch our philosophical podcast, Luke.
There it is. Symmetry, we appreciate you, man. I think we have one viewer on right now. You're him. You're the guy. This is awesome. So I've got a bunch more examples here, but there's one more that I want to get to before we wrap this up. This guy, Michael Kamayer. So he is the guitarist to the band Pyramaze, however you pronounce it, from Denmark. And he works 40 hours a week as a shipping manager. I don't know what a shipping manager is, but he has a really interesting insight into like how it works. Cause I'm like, man, if all these guys have day jobs, like I've had day jobs before. How in the world am I going on tour and all this kind of stuff if I have a day job? Well, he kind of addresses that in this interview clip. So let's check this out.
Oh, it's very hard. It's very hard. Yeah, well, I work 40 hours per week as a shipping manager, and then just the music is in the evening, you know, and touring and gigs are in the vacation time, and yeah, I also have to find time for my wife and the house, and I like to go to the gym, and you know, it's hard, but I love metal. I couldn't live without it, so I find the time somehow, but there are just not enough hours in the day. That's true, but
wow,
there it is.
Yeah.
Well, how do you do it?
This has been a good episode because for the people that are interested, you know, in becoming a part of the industry, you get to see like a different angle on things. Like I know when I was coming up, like I just had no clue what was involved. You go to a show, you see the guys come on stage, and they have all this high energy, you know, 666 energy. And it just looks like it's one big party basically all the time. Everybody's just having fun constantly nonstop. And then when I went on tour myself, I was like, whoa, this is totally different than I thought. You know, it's super hard work, super hard. But you know, if you enjoy it and if you cut out for it, it's a great lifestyle. I can't even imagine doing like something just heinous, like working at Rite Aid or something, or a grocery store. And if you do that, you know, whatever, that's great, but that's not for me.
Yeah, 100%. And that's where I'm saying, like, I would choose the metal lifestyle and just make enough to support my life versus the, you know, mega pop star lifestyle. Do it because metal is so much more meaningful to me than to just get up there and sing, you know, I'll never hurt you, I'll never leave you, I'll never say goodbye, I'll never let you die. Yeah, I mean, it's just like that kind of stuff. It's like, no, I'll take, you know, we'll get into numbers some other time. But anyway, like that is what you just said is 100% true. Like you've got to do what you're passionate about, what's meaningful. And that's also, you know, meaningful to, you know, your group, right? Like this is our group. And that's why I'm a big proponent of like, I'd rather be Finn Zeeler than, you know, James Hetfield, honestly.
Yeah.
Because even Metallica,
but Luke, there's some middle ground. I mean,
of course. I'm just saying, like, if you have to choose one direction or the other, I'm like,
yeah,
you know, I choose the Finn Zeeler route. You just have to.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I thought about that for a long time, and there is a certain kind of magic to just being totally consumed by your art. And I did that for a period of time, you know, back in Michigan, where I would just literally wake up, go to my studio, right in the basement, and just write music all day. And I would teach a little guitar too, but it was mainly just writing music. And that is an immersive experience that, you know, is kind of magical. But then there comes a point when you have to figure out how to talk to the world if you're going to be an artist, in my opinion anyways. And I wanted to actually be visible, you know, in the world and not just like die in anonymity. And then, a whole host of complex problems come your way, and some people are not cut out for that. That's certainly true.
Well, and Shred, I mean, like, I think when you talk about balance and, you know, I mean, I think what you're doing you really are doing that, right? I mean, you're not selling out, like you're not out writing pop songs and shit. I mean, and even if you did,
no.
like if that's like your side job to make some money, it's like fine. It's like, you know, you're living metal.
I would say I am, yeah, and I got some new ideas this year, some new plans that are gonna work on both, those different engines we're talking about, talking to the world and having the marketing on point, but then serving yourself too. So it's just about figuring out that formula in your own life, and you have to be creative about it. But there's a way to do it,
for sure. For sure. Okay, we got to wrap up, but Woot, I apologize. Didn't see you there, and I was like, Symmetry's our only fan. I knew Symmetry wasn't our only fan.
No, we got Woot. Woot's been hanging out in my live streams too, so yeah, I recognize him. And
I knew Lemmy worked as a curator at like a museum. I did not know it was called the Rainbow though.
No. The Rainbow is a bar on Hollywood. It's in West Hollywood. A curator? What? Seriously, what are you talking about?
He was a curator at a museum.
Okay, but that's not the Rainbow. The Rainbow is a bar because that's where he hung out. There's a statue of Lemmy at the Rainbow Bar and Grill in West Hollywood because that's where he would go and drink. And he's buried like just a couple blocks away because he had an apartment right there. But the museum, that's different. I think the Rainbow and the museum are two different things, but
maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. A mystery for another day, but
yeah.
Okay, guys. Well, let us know what you think. Stick around in the coming weeks. We're going to do an episode on the money side of metal. Can we all make some money in metal? That's what we want to do so that we can make more.
These are
metal.
Great topics. I think is turning into like a business metal podcast, which I don't think anybody else is doing. That makes us unique. But we just have to figure out how to make this interesting to the people because you guys, trust me, you do want to know about this if you're interested in music. You don't just want to be clueless on this crap.
Well, and here's the good news. With modern technology, there's more opportunity to make money in metal than ever before. By far. So we just got to figure it out and do it. So
we're going to crack the code, boys.
We are going to crack the code. So, all right, everybody. Great hang. Thanks for joining, guys. And until next time, remember that the world ends with you. So make it metal.